In today's Technology Thursday, we're going to be talking everything apps. So all the apps that we use in our homeschool, these are apps that definitely you're going to want to download and use in your homeschool. Most of them are free, or at least use the free version of them. So I'll let you know that. So if that's something you're interested in, then go ahead and stick around. Hey, welcome guys. This is Heather at Homeschool Culture. And like I said, we are doing Technology Thursday. And today we're going to focus on apps you can use in your homeschool. So these are going to be apps that we have used in our homeschool. They are definitely, if you're a morning basket person, there are definitely some apps in here that you'll love for that. Just up front, I'm letting you know, I'm going to stay away from more of the younger kiddo apps like phonics and things like that, just because there's so many other videos out there that share those types of apps. So I'm going to stick with just some apps that we're using currently, but it's definitely something that's going to be broad across many age levels. So nothing that focuses just like on early elementary, but something that focuses on all age levels. Like I said in the intro, it definitely can be used for Morning Basket. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in now. And if you're wondering what Morning Basket is, it's our group subjects. I have tons and tons of videos linked down below for that. Okay, we're going to start with nature apps. We love nature in our homeschool. We try to do nature study weekly, whether that be at the table doing something for nature study or on a nature walk. So here are some nature apps that you can use. Once I get into the science apps, they kind of are nature as well, but let's start with these. So let's say you are wanting to start going on nature walks, but you don't know where to go. Well, there is an app called All Trails, and it is a hiking app. And so it can be something, those will be hiking trails. And a lot of us, when we think of hiking, we think of going up mountains. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's just a hiking trail around a local lake or something like that. And so go to All Trails and you will find that app, and you will have to give your location, obviously. There is a paid version I have used. I'm actually still signed up for the paid version. I think it's $39.99 a year. I recommend the paid version if you plan on going far out into nature. So like when we go up into Arkansas or we went up to Colorado over the summer, we definitely use the paid version because sometimes some hiking trails you can kind of get off course and it will keep you on course. So that's why I like the paid version. But if you're not going too far out or you're going to stick on trails that are very well marked, then having the free version is absolutely okay. And it's great because it gives pictures from previous hikers and it gives their experience and maybe kind of little tidbits of information that might be needed for that area. Another one that I love doing, this isn't necessarily nature study, but it still gets the kids out in nature a lot at times, is geocaching. So if you've never seen, I think most of us know what geocaching is, but if you don't, it is where you go to a certain location, you look for something that has been cached, that's been kind of hidden. Sometimes it could be like a lunchbox, or it can be just a bottle, a glass jar, something that can be closed up. It's usually somewhat descriptive of the location, but you can open it up and people will leave little souvenirs. And so you can take that souvenir and leave a souvenir, or you can, sometimes there's like a list, you can write your name to show that you did, find that geocache. And so that's just fun. And again, it's just another way to get kids out in nature. Okay, the third one is Seek, and it's by iNaturalist. And what I love about this is that if you put in your location, so like I put in my, not my direct address, but I put in our city, and it pulled up, because we're so close to the border of like Oklahoma, it showed Texas and Oklahoma and what can we see in that region. So anything from like monarch butterflies to different bird species, trees and plants, and various other bugs. And so it's really, really neat because it's almost like you can go on a scavenger hunt. So you put in the location you're at, and then it will give you a list of things to look for out in nature. So I think that one's really fun. It's called Seek. And again, it's by iNaturalist. Another one is Merlin Bird ID. Merlin Bird ID is really neat. You can download it to your actual device, tablet or phone. And so if I was going out, like let's say I was going back to Colorado and I wanted to download the list of birds there, I could download it to my phone. So that way when I'm out in nature, I don't have internet, I can still look those up. Or it just gives you the actual list of birds as well. So that's a really fun one to do. Okay, moving on. Foreign language. This is the only one I've used, so if there's others out there, please put that down below. Again, if there's anything that you're like, oh, for nature you have to do this, or for science you have to see this, put those down below because other mamas out there would love to hear about them, myself included. But for foreign language, the only one we've ever really used is Duolingo. And my daughter wanted to learn Spanish. She did have a Spanish curriculum. We still are doing Spanish. Even though she has a curriculum, she still wanted to download it and try it out. Of course, you know, kids of the 21st century want to use apps. So, but she liked it so much, or likes it so much, that she made sure she did it every day. And so like you get little badges. So like she went 100 days straight. She really enjoys it. So that's something that if she's doing on her own without me making her, maybe it's something that will be good for your child as well. So I do actually have another one. I downloaded SpanishDictionary.com because there's sometimes she will bring me something in the previous book we were using. Right now we're using a program that everything's pronounced for us. But if you're using a program that doesn't have some type of verbal pronunciation, then SpanishDictionary.com, which is an app, does. And the lady that does it on there, I'm assuming she's a real person. I guess she could be AI. But she says it very slowly, which I appreciate. And so that's another one to look up, SpanishDictionary.com. Okay, for math, I was going to throw some math in there. We've always used mental math cards, which are just flashcards, and you can set it up the way you want your kids to do it. And I like it because it's very simple. It's not play this game and get points like a lot of things are. It's just true flashcards. And so I really appreciate that aspect of it. Another one is my daughter uses for her geometry sometimes is GeoGebra, not zebra. So GeoGebra geometry. And she uses that sometimes to help her in her math work. And then another one is Math Papa Algebra. And so if you're necessarily not, I don't know, it's been a while, right, since we've done algebra, but you want to help your kiddo out, it is one that you definitely can go and kind of look up how to do various algebra equations, and it will give you like examples and how to break it down, etc. So maybe you can use it to help your kiddos out. I'm not giving my kid access to any type of app these days because there's so many out there that do the work for them, and that's the last thing I want them to have, right? But if it's something like if my mama brain's going, okay, it's been 20 plus years since I've done this, then I might use an app myself just to kind of go in and see how a problem needs to be laid out. So that's just something to think about as well. Okay, so getting back into the morning basket or the group subjects. For art, a lot of us like to do picture study and things like that. So if you, there's one called Daily Art, and it'll actually send you an art piece every day, and it will tell information about it. Of course, it gives you the picture, it tells you information about it and the artist and things like that. So that's just kind of fun, just because it's something to look forward to for the kids. And then there's also Google Art Culture. So it's by Google, and it's called Art and Culture. And I really like it because, again, like let's say you click on a picture and it tells you what like period it's in, and then you can click on that period, and then it's going to give you a bunch of other art in that same period. And so it's just kind of like a rabbit hole that you can go down to find various types of art, time periods, etc. I think it's really good, again, so if you have a kiddo that's just interested. I like some of these apps for, yes, morning basket, things like that. Sometimes I like these apps where we're in the doctor's at the waiting room, and instead of just giving them a mindless game to play, give them Google art and culture and let them look at things like that and maybe kind of discuss it as y'all are sitting there. Or you can use it for planning as well. So maybe you're going through it and you want to do a time period, and you can find artists within that time period. So just there's different ways you can utilize it. And honestly, there's so much more to it as well. Okay, another one is just classical music. So if you just want to have classical music going in the background, of course, there's YouTube and things like that, but there's an actual app that plays classical music. Another one that is really cool is Shakespeare, and it's just called Shakespeare. And there is a paid version, and it will give you like line numbers, etc., some notes, some extra little stuff. But for the unpaid, you get all of Shakespeare's work. It'll tell you what the work is and then what kind. Is it a comedy? Is it a historical? Things like that. Then you click on it, and it will give you the actual, the dialogue of the Shakespeare play. But it also gives you a good description of the play first, and it gives you a great description of each character. So I found that really interesting and something that you can use. We haven't done plays this year. This is one I haven't used, but I do plan on. We haven't done any plays this year because she has 2, I think, in her literature. So once we get to that, we will definitely be using this app this year, because sometimes, even if you use it as a reference, because sometimes, you'll go through and there's so many different actors. Like I was looking at, I can't remember which one, but it was like 28 different characters within the play. And so it's nice to literally just be able to break those down. Or if you are reading it, or I don't read it, we listen to it, and you're like, who are they talking about now? You can pause it, go to the app, and then, read over the character description real quick. Or another benefit is when we listen to it, we still are following along in a book. But a lot of times I'll end up having to buy 2 or 3 books. So now that the app has all that information on there, well, that would just be one less book I'd have to buy. Or if you have kids, multiple kids with tablets or smartphones, then you can download that app, on everybody's, and then you wouldn't even have to buy a book. So that's another way to look at it as well. Okay, here are some science ones, and a lot of these, well, most of these actually could be for nature study too. We're gonna start with space. So there's one called Skyview Light. There's one called Sky Guide. And both of those, my son has so much fun with this. He'll go in, and you do put your location, because it does, I guess it helps determine what they are up in the sky. But you go in and you put your location, and it will tell you what all the stars are, or if that's, sometimes, you are looking at Saturn or whatever, it'll tell you those. I want to say, I think it does break down constellation too, if I remember. My son uses it, I would say at least once or twice a month, if not more. So like he'll go through like periods where he uses it multiple days in a row, and then he at least brings it out once or twice a month, because there's usually something in the sky we're looking for. So that's a lot of fun. And another one is NASA Explorer. And again, it'd be one of those things that you're at the doctor's office, you're sitting there waiting or whatever, and your kid can just get on it. They can learn about all the different, the sun, the moon, the planets. They can learn about different astronauts, what's going on with NASA, things like that. So it's just a fun one to get onto whenever you want to keep the kids busy, but you don't necessarily want to give them like a game or something. Okay, another one is for geology. We love geology in our house. So it's Rock Identifier, Stone ID. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. Sometimes when you do the paid version, they're a little bit better. There was one time, if you really want to make sure you get it out in good light and things like that, because there was one time he was taking a picture of something and it was saying it was whatever. And what's neat about it is that it'll tell you what it is, and it'll tell you where you can find it, things like that. And I was like, honey, we found that here and we're not anywhere near that part of the world. And so come to find out, we took it out into the light and did it again, and it ended up being something else. So it's one of those things with all of technology. It's not necessarily perfect, but it is, most of the time it's pretty accurate, and it's a fun thing for kiddos that like to go out and hunt rocks and things. The same with Digger's Map. And so this will tell you places around the United States that you can find like different golds and silvers. Like if you go up into Arkansas, like there's a place that you can go mine for like diamonds and things like that. And so it has like the US map and all these different places, or you put like your location in and it'll kind of show you around there what you can go do. So that's fun. Maybe there's something around your neighborhood or your town that you don't even know about. And the same thing applies with fossil discovery. Now, this isn't an app that's necessarily like, ooh, I can spend hours on it. It's more one of those where people will put, so again, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because these are other people. But people will put location of what they found. And so like I know we live by a riverbed that's known for a lot. So there were things in that riverbed. So I do know it's somewhat accurate. Again, it's one of those that are kind of hit or miss, but the kids, have fun at least going and going, ooh, let's go here, let's go here. Okay, the last one for science is definitely not younger kid. It's going to be high school, maybe even into college, and it's called Complete Anatomy. My daughter's really thinking about going into nursing. And so next year we're going to start anatomy. And it's one of those that if by next year she's still on track for nursing, then we will download this app. It is $39 a year, but it's pretty detailed on anatomy. So if your kiddo is wanting to do that, or maybe is about to go into nursing, it even asks like, are you going into medical degree, nursing degree, etc. And so it even sets it up that way so that it's targeting whatever degree program you're going into, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, next one, geography. I've talked about this before on how I teach geography. It's Seterra Geography. Again, I might be saying it wrong. Seterra Geography. They have a website. So if you don't have an app, like a phone that does apps, they do have a website. But again, I feel like these are the types of things that are fun, like on the road. The kids are wanting to do something. You don't want them on games. Let them sit side by side. Let them do geography quizzing is essentially what it is. And so it's everything from the United States down to like the states, mountain ranges, large lakes, like well-known lakes, rivers, all that type of thing, all the way up into, every continent, which includes like the countries and their capitals, things like that. So, it's pretty detailed. Even I remember when we were doing Europe a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure it even goes into detail on not just the United States, but countries around the world, excuse me, for like mountain ranges, rivers, etc. So it's pretty detailed. And again, that's probably one of our favorite websites and apps. And you can create the quiz and you can preview the quiz, which I appreciate. So again, how could you use this if you have multiple? So let's say you just went over some geography and you're wanting to quiz some of your kiddos while your other kiddos are working. You can hand off a tablet with the geography quiz on there that they can work on while you're over here working with another kiddo. So you can make technology work for you. I'm not a proponent of technology. I'll be real honest. I love technology, but I think kids use it way too much. With that said, there are ways for educational purposes that I think that moms out there can really utilize it and make it work for you. So moving on. Okay. Geography of the World is another app, so you can look into that. I'm going to try to hurry. Some logic ones. One is logic puzzles, and there's tons of them out there. It's not just logic puzzles. There's a ton of them out there. Kind of think of like mind benders where it's on that grid and you have, like you have a column of categories and a row of categories, and then you have questions, or I guess maybe not questions. You have statements, and then you have to kind of mark off which applies because you're trying to find the final outcome. So that is one. And then, Sudoku. That's how I say it, Sudoku, math. Remember? We started doing that, I think back in I was in high school when we started doing that back in the 90s. And I've always had an app on my phone for it because I'm one of those, like if I'm sitting there bored out of my mind because, I'm at the DMV or whatever, I'll bring up my Sudoku or something. Okay, moving on. Bible apps. Okay, so there are times in the Bible when I do not know how to pronounce some of the stuff. And so there is the Bible that comes with Apple. I don't know, it's just the Bible app. Just know that some of those versions will read it to you. And I appreciate that because like I'm going through the Bible right now. I started with Genesis and I'm working. I've just finished Genesis and I just did Exodus 1 and 2 this morning. I will listen to the Old Testament, especially when they're going through all of those genealogies and all of that. I still think it's still obviously beneficial or God wouldn't put it in there. But, and I do follow along, FYI. I do follow along either on screen or on my Bible separate. I'm not sitting there doing the dishes while I listen. I don't want to do that because I want to take time to listen and pay attention. But it makes it easier where I'm not sitting here having to try to sound out something. So there's that. But if you don't have that and you do want to sound out something or you don't know how to pronounce it, there is a Bible pronunciation app, which I have and I've used multiple times throughout our homeschool career. And then there's a Bible dictionary. So sometimes there's verbiage in the Bible that you're like, I don't really know what that means. There's a Bible dictionary app as well. Okay, 3 other ones, and these are the last 3. Just things to think about. Quizlet. I know most of us have heard that. I think my daughter's science program through Dr. Shorman actually has a Quizlet set up so already for her, but you can go in and create quizzes like flashcard type things for vocabulary, all types of stuff. So look up Quizlet. There's tons of stuff out there. And then also PSAT, prep and practice, SAT, ACT. Remember those, especially for you high school mamas. There are PSAT prep and all of those. My daughter right now is online doing a PSAT prep. So if you haven't already signed up for PSAT, it might be too late now. If not, you need to start putting those things on your calendar so you remember. And if you haven't signed up for the SAT or ACT for your kiddos and you think they're in 11th grade, even 12th grade if they haven't taken one yet, go ahead and start looking at those dates. And if y'all want a video over that, let me know down below. Again, I used to be a high school counselor, so that's kind of my wheelhouse of information. So put that down below and I will be happy to do a video over that. Okay, that is it. That is all of the apps. Again, please, if you're new to me, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you hit that bell icon. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, hit like. And then if there's anything that you want to share, again, that I did not cover, please put those down below because I would love to learn about them. I hope you have a super blessed day and a blessed week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.